They were immobile with astonishment. They believed their strategy could work, but now their true motivations were revealed. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. The cruise ship Housekeeper caught them red-handed with their shoe. Their ambitions were abruptly halted by the evidence they presented. The couple was really ashamed. They made sure their laundry was pristine before mailing it in, but for some reason, they neglected to adequately clean the shirt. Upon discovering the couple's true intentions, she made a substantial demand for money from them. "To clean up this small mess, it will cost $5,000, she remarked, gesturing to the stained garment. It had been 13 years since the beginning of this whole ordeal. The couple started to make plans for their retirement as they got closer to that age. For Shirley and Roy Miller, this moment had been long in coming. When they retired, their goal was to live out their goals, having worked hard and saved every dollar. That day was rapidly approaching. The firms where they worked had already started to make arrangements for their retirement. Less than a month would pass before the pair eventually retired. They had complete control over their money and time as soon as they received their checks. Then, the main issue emerged. After all this time waiting for this chance, what would they do? Throughout their marriage, they had discussed this day often and thought about a lot of different things. But there were some important things to think about. The couple considered relocating to one of their kids' homes. Together they had 3 children, although some obstacles stood in their way. After reaching adulthood and starting their own families, their 3 children besides, the grandparents had no desire to meddle in their lives. That was not a possibility. A care center was the next alternative, but neither of them wanted to go there, especially not at their age. What then remained? Would they hold on to their home as a financial asset for the future? Would they turn to their kids for help? Would they fulfill their lifetime ambition to see the globe and eat in Europe? Shirley always wanted to travel the world and see Europe, but she was never able to fulfill her dreams. After graduating from high school, she got married, and her first kid was born in less than a year. She committed the rest of her life to becoming a stay-at-home wife and mother. She never had time to take care of herself since she was always taking care of everyone else. Roy could see the effect their retirement was having on his wife since it was looming large over them like a black cloud. Shirley had always persuaded herself that she would get the chance to travel and see the globe, but now she knew that her time was limited. Roy was adamant about making things right since he loved his wife more than anything or anybody else in the world. It was his responsibility to resolve the issue. He made the decision to talk to his wife about the matter while seated. "It seems like all we ever did was work and raise the children. We were never allowed to take care of ourselves," Shirley sobbed to her spouse. Roy felt his heart breaking inside his chest. He needed to take action in this regard. Roy saw that Shirley's primary concern was that she was unwilling to part with all of the plans she had created over the years. They didn't want everything to fall apart because they didn't plan things out correctly because they had given up all luxury for their family. However, what action could they take? That evening, Roy found himself in front of the internet, searching for other choices, while Shirley was sound asleep in their bedroom. When Roy happened over a Miami advertising for a new, reasonably priced cruise ship, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. The old guy clicked the link out of curiosity. When he saw the pricing, he was in disbelief. It would be less expensive to stay aboard the cruise ship than to reside in an assisted living facility. Roy searched for several cruise ships for hours that evening, but he found one issue. At their age, Roy wasn't sure whether they could manage anything like that. It would not be an issue to cruise at all. It would be when you stopped. For however long would they be in the dock? Could they truly continue to come and go for the remainder of their lives? He needed to talk to his wife about this because the outcome may make or break the whole strategy. But Roy had to consider things before he could say anything. After a few more hours of settling the differences, Roy was left sitting there with more questions than answers. Now, what would he do? He questioned if it was really feasible to spend a significant amount of time living on a cruise ship. He wanted to live on these ships, not just take a few voyages here and there. Roy worked on creating a budget and figuring out how much it would cost the couple for the remainder of the evening. Roy had no idea whether his strategy was legal, but it seemed like the best option when he saw the data. Shirley had been glued to the internet all evening, attempting in vain to arrange their future. She patted him gently on the shoulder to wake him up, and as soon as he opened his eyes, excitement shot through his body. What he had found the previous evening had to be shared with his wife. Roy tapped the seat beside him, a wide smile lighting up his face. Although Shirley was obviously perplexed by what was going on, she gasped when she saw the laptop. Is that actually the case? Had he managed to find a way? Seated next to her husband in front of the computer, Shirley watched as he showed her image after photo of the amazing ships he had discovered the previous evening. His wife was grinning sadly when he turned to face her. "What's the matter, honey?" he questioned, taken aback by her abrupt change in attitude. She didn't appear to be very enthusiastic. Roy asked his query, and then there was an unsettling hush in the room. The elderly man was baffled as to why. He considered he reasoned that this would make his wife happy. She sighed regretfully. "This seems lovely, but we could never go through with this." Roy scowled, perplexed by her remarks. "Our existence is not limited to foreign waters. These cruise ship owners will throw us off when they find out that we are actually living on their ships," she said. "Then we won't have a place to reside. It is all simply too dangerous. We are too elderly to take such risks." Roy's heart fell as he heard such remarks. "I was envisioning us moving from cruise ship to cruise ship and seeing the entire world," he stated with sadness. Roy was aware that his wife was correct, but for a split second he wondered what it would be like in real life if they followed through. He had never taken a chance on anything before. They were usually cautious. Roy was thinking these things, but he wasn't aware that he was really speaking them out. Roy gazed down at his wife, realizing what he had done. Would Shirley consent to assume the chance? Roy sincerely hoped so, but he was totally unprepared for his wife's reaction. How did she react to the notion, and what did she think of it? Shirley withdrew from her husband and dabbed at her tears. "We need to resume our business. We have a lot of planning to do," she stated, guiding the conversation back to what would be safest. However, Roy's thoughts about that cruise ship were still lingering in the background. Roy was not aware that he was the only one kicking about the notion. Though Shirley pretended not to entertain the possibility, she was finding herself considering it more and more frequently. Shirley continued to ponder over Roy's proposition for days on end. She sat him down to listen to him one night. After hours of conversation, they agreed to take a break and consider their options. During his study, Roy saw an advertisement that gave him an audacious notion. He shocked Shirley by arranging a trip to 3 nations she had always wanted to see while she was preparing lunch. He told me about his impromptu scheme during lunch. Shirley was both happy and shocked. She was excited about the trip Roy had planned this time. He proposed it as a short respite before they looked at relocating to a retirement community in Minnesota. Joyous at the proposition, Shirley consented without being aware of Roy's entire scheme. They arrived at the harbor, eager to begin their journey, 2 weeks later. Roy waited until their journey to bring up the subject once more. Weeks passed quickly as they traveled to different locations and made new friends. They preferred their new routine over their home life. Roy came to the realization that he preferred this lifestyle, traveling and enjoying exciting cruises rather than being confined to a nursing facility. Roy joked that he might spend his entire life on cruise ships. Looking out at the black ocean that night, Shirley, who detested retirement communities, considered going back. Unaware of the full implications, she consented to Roy's plan out of sheer spontaneity. The thought grew on them over time. Roy and Shirley both cherished the idea of traveling the world without end. They started taking the concept seriously after weighing the financial implications and determining that it may be a wise decision. They made the decision to take another trip to test their idea and make sure it was a great one before committing totally. Would they be able to continue that lifestyle, though? That inquiry had a yes response. It was less expensive than a care center, and there was always a doctor on board. They might also cross items off their bucket list. The couple was enjoying the time of their lives as the years went by. They traveled from cruise ship to cruise ship, visited places they never would have imagined seeing, and encountered things they never would have imagined. They believed it to be the finest choice they had ever made. However, that would alter on their subsequent voyage. They were always troubled by the same thought: what would happen if the corporation discovered what they were doing? The event occurred on a Caribbean cruise that the couple had scheduled for their subsequent trip. The pair had always taken care to keep their true intentions from the employees hidden. However, everything would alter on this fateful night, all thanks to a cleaner who was driven by greed. The couple made the decision to have supper and dance that evening. They noticed someone leaning against their room's door as they got closer. Although her clothes indicated that she worked on the ship and her trolley identified her as a cleaner, they were unable to identify her. After insisting on going inside with them, the cleaner performed an unexpected thing. She inquired about a spot on Roy's shirt that she had taken out of her cart. Shirley said that Roy had cut himself on a counter the night before while wearing the shirt. Before the cleaner arrived, she neglected to wash it. After disclosing that she was aware of the couple's covert activities while aboard ships, the cleaner threatened to get them fired from the firm and wanted $5,000 to be silent. Shirley, aware that the cleaner would suffer repercussions for blackmail, remained resolute and challenged the cleaner to report them. But Shirley was prepared. She called the local news when they arrived at their next port. The cleaner's actions embarrassed the corporation, which issued a public apology. The business did not stop there. It also dismissed the cleaner and upgraded the couple to VIP status, giving them lifetime access to free cruises. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.